Where's your hat?
We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. If we can get a roll call, please.
Allen. Here. Miller.
Here.
Shevitz.
Here.
Minders.
Yeah.
Reuter.
Here.
Rand's absent.
All right, that'll be a quorum. Could you please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Perry, can you give me that signing sheet on? Thank you. I have no remarks or comments above what we've been talking about tonight. Any trustees want to talk about anything not on the agenda briefly? You can make a comment.
The Dropbox has moved indoors,
Yes,
so it's no
Now say it
longer.
louder so Hootie can hear you.
Sorry, the Dropbox is now inside.
yes, I've received a lot of questions about that. The Dropbox for water bills has been moved inside. So if anyone asks you about that, that front room is always open. Dropbox is just inside. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. Public comments. You're all here for agenda items, so no public comments. No. Okay. Consent agenda. While the trustees are reviewing that, Bodie, zoning.
Not a whole lot going on. A couple fence permits. Not a whole lot.
Maintenance.
Village maintenance, we had IRWA come today and inspect some sewers. We do have some tree root issues. Talked to Darren, he's gonna be getting me some numbers for, getting them cleaned out and maybe, putting the back of our heads, maybe relining it. 400 feet, at least 400 feet.
I got those numbers.
Okay, let's hear
So to clean and TV, which is just de-root, temporary maintenance, it's about $10,000 to $12,000 with mold to get them out here to do it. To line it, you should probably figure 25 to 30,000 for the 400 feet. So roughly 40 to $50,000 all in, and that's if you have one company do it at the same time. The cleaning fee is pretty solid. I talked to the owner of the company we discussed today. And we've been doing a lot of work with them in Freeport, and I actually talked to them about, we have a project coming in Freeport that they would be close enough that could cut some of those costs.
Did you look into a cutter head?
He hasn't emailed me back yet. But I did talk to Scott about getting a newer head, but I mean, if we could just do it this way.
Well, if the head is $2,000, it'd be sell out of $10,000.
Right, but like we talked, it's just a temporary fix.
I understand it's a temporary fix until the next time. We might as well own the equipment, should we not? I mean,
The only thing you have to be careful about with some of the cutting saws is the age of the mains and the condition of the clay. If you get aggressive cutters in there, some people call them chain knockers, some of them are
That's-
giant band saws. If you get those in the mains and you don't have a camera watching what you're doing as you're doing it, you can create holes and collapses pretty quickly with those knockers. That's why it's expensive to do, right? Because usually when they bring in a real, sewer cleaner, they have a camera that's right there with the band the whole time, and they're watching it go down the main to make sure they're not getting too aggressive. I haven't seen the video, but it sounds like in this particular section, every joint has massive root infestation, and once that started, there's really no way to cure it but to line it or replace the pipe, one of the two.
All right. Well, you put on, does this emergency meeting or next month? Okay.
I don't think it's real emergent, but I mean, it definitely needs to be.
All right. It'll be on the agenda for next month then.
Where is this at again?
Bradshaw and between Bradshaw and South Street.
Safety
Oh, okay.
and ordinance enforcement.
I did three warnings and a couple verbal warnings. Open burning.
Perry?
Water, we just got the next round of lead and copper sampling, those boxes. And as long as all of those samples come back low enough, we won't have to do it again for 3 years, so that's good. I am planning on doing hydrant flushing, with our water usage, being as high as it is right now. I'll have to kind of see how things play out, but I'm hoping to have that done sometime this month. But I'll probably let you know, Ryan, when I'm gonna start, so you can put it on Facebook.
Sure.
The plan is to do that sometime this month. And I think that's about it.
Are we still seeing excessive water usage above what you would normally see?
It's coming down, I think, a little bit, so hopefully it keeps up that trend.
All right.
Like excessive water use, like we're wasting water on grass,
Uh,
or like
we
we're
were,
filling the neighbor's pool.
we were like double our usage.
Probably both.
For a couple
Oh.
weeks.
There's a long time we didn't rain, I'm sure it was probably both.
What's
Yeah.
that?
It's probably both.
Yeah, I'm kind of
Pools
thinking
and
it was
Yeah,
a
but it
lot
shouldn't be
of
double.
and
Well,
it was
I would
only,
say,
it was only during the day. And then our well
At night
seemed
it
like
would
it
be
ran
fine.
normal at night, so I'm assuming it was.
We did fix the service line too.
Yeah, we did do the service line
Had
repair,
been
but-
leaking for probably a couple weeks and no one told us. Just
Those
because
are
they're flowing around the wet spot, so.
those are fine.
Yeah.
All right. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I move.
Oh, seconded.
Allen? Yes. Miller?
Yep.
Shevitz?
yeah,
Minders?
Yes.
Reuter?
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to business. So we'll go to number one here, the Market Street Water Main Project and discussion of alternatives. Darren, no bypass funds, right?
No bypass funds. We know that for sure now because the list had to be authorized before July 1st. So we do know we did qualify. The EPA list is out for 2027, which started July 1st. And Shannon did not make the funded list, whereas not very many water main projects in general made it because there's so many water treatment plants that are on the list this year that really sucked up most of the available funds.
Didn't you tell them we already had one of them? We're good on that?
And I told him you didn't get any money for that.
Yeah, no shit.
Right, so we're kind of at an impasse here, with the, Main Street project. Just to give you some updates, Ryan had called me and told me about, maybe an alternate plan, which obviously I just saw, but, Bodie and I discussed it this afternoon. Goods and bads of it. I'm not saying that we can't do an alternate plan, but you've already paid to design and permit Market Street, which we have a permit and a supplemental permit for that have been approved, which I sent copies of. The final approvals came maybe a couple weeks ago. So that project is shelf ready and ready to build. We would have topo cost, redesign cost, and the one thing that I see right there right now that EPA is going to object to is those very long services. They don't permit those.
Will they be involved with any giving of money? If not, they can F-hole.
They won't approve the permit to build based on the lawn service leads. And that's a statewide thing that has nothing to do with any standard. It's the state plumbing inspector standard that they don't like to see services that
And
long.
Darren, how much are we into this project for permitting and engineering costs and things of that nature?
I didn't look before I come, but I'm going to say in the neighborhood of 60,000.
I was gonna say 50, so I knew we were north
Yeah,
of.
somewhere in that $50,000-$60,000 range. And in order to pick up the other streets, obviously we're talking about having to retopo those because you're going to end up having to redesign everything through both of those sections. Which I will tell you right now, we'll do it if that's the desire of Shannon. I'm not trying to talk anyone out of it. I'm just saying that it's going to be an expensive proposition to make those changes, and I likely see if the numbers are right there, 290-foot services, anything over probably about 150 feet, they're going to question pretty hard. And then you're also reducing fire hydrants from your main street business corridor, and they're going to question that as well. So I'll do it if that's the desire of the village. It's no problem that we can't redo it. It's just there's costs involved with it. And we also did take into account that IDOT came back with the culvert renovations down by the grocery store, and we had to re-permit that to go around the culvert because the culvert's too deep and they don't want the water main under it. So that's all been done and taken care of. The only thing that we haven't retained is the easements from the property owners to go out around the culvert, right? Because we had to get out of where they're gonna build. What they did though, in lieu of that, is we were concerned that there was gonna be a bunch of money in the bridge. And they're going to include into the culvert crossing, the bridge to go across, so we won't have to account for that in our project. That'll be part of the IDOT.
For the sidewalk, you mean?
Correct. So they extended the culvert out to encapsulate that, or that's what they've told us so far. Cheyenne on my team has been working with them. Bodie told me some rumors today that we've been in contact with IDOT, and we actually had a utility permit to construct, which is now expired, which we called them and said, what do you want us to do? Because we don't have a plan to construct yet. They just said, hold on, we know it's part of the IDOT project. So they told us they would up it anytime we wanted fairly quickly. So we just held on that based on decisions. The current cost estimate, and it has about a 10% contingency built in, is about $650,000 off of current bidding numbers, which is, before when we had submitted, we were estimating $1 million, but that had design in it, that had construction inspection, all those numbers in it. So I feel confident that that's probably a high-end number at this point based on other bids we've been seeing come in. Obviously, those costs will go up as if we roll to next year. I do have a call into IDOT as of this afternoon because I know there was some conversation going on in the early spring whether they're actually going to get it to a bid for next year or if it was going to push. Bodie heard through his contact that it was likely going to push to 2028. I heard a rumor of it, but there's been nothing official. So we decided to just ask the question about where the state's actually at in the project.
It's not gonna get any cheaper.
It's not going to get cheaper, but what IDOT's experienced this year, and I'm familiar with this because we have quite a few IDOT projects going on in Freeport. All of their bids are way over their estimates this year. And so they're actually reducing their package of bids for this year because they're running out of funds that are approved by the state. And so things are pushing to next year on some of the projects that they don't have memorandum of understandings on. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're backed up enough. Most of their stuff has been 20% over their estimates. So, and then I don't want to forget this piece. We still, no matter what, will have to deal with the sewer crossing down by Stanton Street. That is something that we kind of shelved, but it is going to end up being a cost of the villages that we have to deal with. And we had estimated that's going to be around $100,000 to $125,000 to relocate that sewer.
And that's just because sewer.
That's because it's in the right of way and they have the right to demand that it gets lowered because they've got a culvert there that it's basically going to go through. So they're going to fix their part, but our intergovernmental agreements say that we are responsible for 100% of locates within the right of way.
And that, we already approved that project. The last I had heard was kind of just wait and see what to do with that. Are we supposed to do that ahead of time?
We have to design it.
Okay.
But they didn't want us to construct it, but we haven't moved forward with any design because we just decided to hold. But that is a project that the village is going to have to undertake before they get to the road.
You're full of good news.
Yeah,
You always have that.
I've,
Well, the good news is we raised rates to, I think, contemplate a $750,000 project, something of that nature. So that's already covered in the rate raise this year.
Ballpark.
Bodie's talked with me and Kyle about this project. I don't know who else he's talked about. Bodie, just want to go over what you had thought maybe would be an alternative for the whole board?
For the water main,
Yeah, for the water main.
going off just looping it, going on Badger instead of Main Street. But if, the 300, the service lines are gonna be an issue, I mean, we could always move it to the alley. I know there's sewer there, but I mean, if we're far enough away, we could maybe move it and then that would shorten or reduce our service lines. I mean, we can play with it, but
In case at all.
in case at all, yeah.
Well, that'd be fun.
Like I said, that's just a rough draft, but, you know, if we're $60,000 into it already, I mean, it's,
What are you guessing the sewer project is going to cost over here?
Over there,
The
hundred
lining
twenty-five thousand, 100 to 125,000 was the estimate.
Oh, and by the way, that's just under the road.
No, not technically. That would be from like right-of-way manhole to right-of-way manhole, because there's gonna have to be 4 manholes that are inserted to bend it around.
But we also have a problem north of that we'd be really stupid not to look into, correct?
Yes.
it'd be south of that, where the bottlenecks are.
South is that way.
Yeah.
I thought it was bottleneck to the north of the highway.
No, it's bottleneck in south where the pump is at the bank.
So another 100, 200 feet? We'd be insanely stupid to do all this and not fix that all at
Well,
once.
it's all, I mean, there's nothing really we can do about it because it is,
Upsize the pipe.
it's 12 inch pipe.
They
Well,
make
there's, I mean, we could do,
They make bigger pipe,
we could
my
do,
friend.
so there's 3/8 going into a 10 and then it goes about 25 feet to another manhole and then it goes to 12. We could increase the size of that one.
That's what I'm
to
talking
12
about.
inches. Yeah, we could do that from manhole to manhole and that's 25 feet.
I mean, we'd
that's-
be insane not to fix the whole
Right, while we're
problem.
there, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, we can't increase the size unless we go all the way down to the sewer plant.
Oh, no, all you could do is go to the park, correct?
Well, it's all 12 inches there.
There's no pipe under the ground in the park.
Badger Park?
Talking storm sewer, what are you talking?
I'm talking,
You're talking sanitary. I'm talking storm sewer. I thought you had a storm sewer problem.
no,
I'm sorry.
sanitary.
Okay.
Which the coefficients of the pipe will get better with plastic pipe in there and so on and so forth. So it probably will carry more flow than what the old clay was carrying.
Well, hopefully we upsize it either way.
So I guess the route is to look for rates for a $650,000 loan from a local bank over 25 years and get started next year is kind of where we're heading, I think.
650 won't do it if we gotta do both projects.
Well, I'm not talking about just the one, but we do have some funds to do a smaller project outright,
Yeah.
or at least somewhat outright. Is that the route we're taking on this project then? Just
Plus we're
barrel
gonna spend
ahead?
50 on sewer. Or 60 on sewer, I see. Correct? So,
On what?
The lining.
of lining, so I mean, are you looking for a motion?
I,
All work that has to be done, don't misunderstand.
unless someone wants to discuss alternatives, I'll find the lowest rate around. We can discuss it on the next board meeting and approve a project and approve a loan.
Personally, I'm leaning toward the Badger Street, looking into that more.
We can look into that more.
Or, yeah, come to the alley of Badger and Main Street.
You know, even if we had to come to both ends, I think it'd be a whole lot cheaper.
For the added main and the 60 grand we already have in it, I don't know that it's gonna end up being cheaper. It's just off the highway.
Just on some quick stuff that I put together, the project itself for the installation wise, so it won't be any cheaper than the straight line. It won't be. What you're reducing or minimizing is IDOT in the future. That's the cost benefit analysis here, right? That's the truth.
Moving it out from under the road gets rid of IDOT, so I mean,
And that is the plan to get, the design is for most of it to come out from under the road and into the right of way where it's more accessible and not in the roadway. But again, that's your decision. I'm just saying synergy of cost going in the ditch way or the right of way is not going to be any different than going back through the alley. We will do whatever you want. I do think you would end up probably having to go to the alley midway point in order to reduce the services because they're never going to approve a 300-foot service. They likely would not approve a 150-foot service.
Because it was a lot
they
of,
wouldn't approve of half the
there's a
town.
lot of the cost with like concrete because of the sidewalk, because we're doing all new sidewalks.
We have to do the sidewalk.
So if we were to
But now we don't have to do the bridge, which the bridge we really didn't, we only had like an allowance in there for the bridge because we didn't know what IDOT was doing.
That bridge could have easily been $100,000,
If we would have.
I mean,
Yeah.
truthfully.
All right, I'll get numbers for next board meeting then. If you want to keep tinkering with the Badger Street design,
I mean,
look
I
at it.
could have somebody take what we have here and get you an estimate of what it would take to redo that redesign. I don't have a problem doing that.
You could do the math on the feet, and I don't know that it's any,
Right.
I mean,
because
part of,
it's more feet of main.
and I want to be
What's that?
straightforward with everyone. When we designed it the first time, which Ryan, I think you were on the board at that time, if I recall right, the idea was to get it out under the sidewalk. So we had a nice sidewalk that basically went end of town to end of town.
Yeah.
As part of the project. So that was the intent.
Right.
The only way it's gonna be cheaper is if you guys do it, and
How much?
I don't see that I mean, I don't,
Hire a few more people.
no,
It's cheaper down the road too, you won't have to tear up the highway.
true.
Well, I'll be honest with you, if we do the project and we have to dig it up for the vast majority of our dust, that's a problem.
Yeah, we get that chunk in plastic and I will no longer
Yeah,
care.
I've been coming down here for 16 years, I believe, and that pipe on Market Street has been an issue for,
All 16.
yeah. I'd love to know how many rakes you've had. It's gotta be.
Oh, God, let's
it's gotta
not
be up
discuss
in
that.
the 15 to 20 range. So if you figure every main break is about a $10,000 bill, which is roughly the number.
50.
It's usually 15 or 20 there because it's stupid deep.
Yeah.
And the asphalt doesn't get any cheaper.
Yeah, those wonderful people from IDOT keep,
Yeah, last one we had to do 15 inches of
hell, there's
asphalt.
not 15 inches of asphalt in that the whole damn road.
Yeah, the post office. we
All
did
right,
15.
we'll go ahead and put this on next month's agenda with some actual numbers and we'll get projects approved at the next board
So
meeting.
Do we-
just my list, you want me to try to calculate what a redesign would cost or not?
I'll talk to Bodie about it. I'll get in contact with you in the next week.
Okay, and then, do you want me to get you a cost for the sewer crossings? We haven't done that,
Yeah.
and something, the lining, do you want to clean and line? Because that would be a project that would end up having to be bid as well.
Let's do it. I think it's just,
You have to bid that?
Yeah.
It's above 25, so.
it's a problem. I mean, it's more of a problem now than.
I'll message you this week. I'll email you.
That's fine.
I mean,
Yeah.
we know we need plans for the sewer under the highway.
Yeah.
And we're negligent in sitting here if we don't take care of the problem to the south of that, to that.
From the bank manhole.
From the back manhole.
25, 50 feet. And then the relining for sure.
Well, no, I'm just talking about this, the highway part.
Oh.
If we do that project and we don't do the short project to the south of it, we're negligent in sitting here while all the excavating equipment is sitting there.
Right.
We won't be solving any problems. But if we gotta be smart enough to upsize the pipe under the highway,
Well, I'd assume they would bore that, wouldn't they?
No, it'd have to be open cut.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you got,
there's too many
there's
manholes.
too many manholes there. You can't direct.
Every corner is a manhole and you can't bore a manhole.
Yeah, I mean, they would prefer, especially if they weren't opening the road, that we don't do it, but I don't see a scenario where that's not gonna be able to have to be open cut.
Maybe if there weren't houses on both sides, but with the houses, there's no way.
Yeah.
All right.
Like that.
All right, number 2 I have is the OSLAD grant. I had talked about this previously, and Darren's here because they helped the Park District in Freeport get this grant last year. They did just release the manual for this year. Unfortunately, Shannon is not a distressed community this year, which means there's a 50% match. All the other projects going around, I'm assuming the board doesn't want to undertake a park grant project, but we had previously talked about it, so I just wanted to put it on the agenda. Last year, if you qualify as a distressed community, there's only a 10% match, but this year Shannon does not qualify for that, so.
Right. The only thing I'll add to that, if you do or do not decide to go ahead, remember that an OSLAD grant would not be something that you would even receive until next year. So if you apply for it, you won't even find out till it's almost next summer, and then you have like 2 or 3 years to complete the project. So I don't know if that changes your mind as far as going after grant opportunity. And it is 50-50 unless it's primarily a dog park, and then I think it's actually like only a 15% kicking from the state if so much of it's the concept's had some dog park on it, so you have to have playground equipment, you have to have exercise type activities. So
Do anyone want to talk about parks right now? This is something we can go
We're
over.
going to spend $750,000 unless my math is off in my head. I think we're good at the park, aren't we, Butch?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get you some trees, don't misunderstand. We'll get you some new trees.
All right, we can bring this back up next year. This comes around every year, so
yep,
we'll see where we're at in a year. All right, Darren, thanks for coming.
thank you very much.
Enjoy Lanark.
Oh, after Freeport last night, everything's a joy.
Do we have
We're the
plans
highlight.
for the sewer project, or we have to make plans for that yet,
For the,
for over here?
I have not done anything with the
Okay.
solar except for trying to assist in helping get the grant.
Yeah, we have solar bids here.
No, the sewer.
Sewer.
Sorry.
Oh,
So
so
we-
we have to get the design together for that. We have not done that.
Didn't they kind of give us like a little one, like where it just kind of
Yeah, I think they did.
The
IDOT gave us
IDOT
one.
gave us what they
like a
want us
proposal,
to
like, hey,
do,
do this.
There's
Yeah,
no-
they basically said you had to move X number of feet over from the,
and they kind of
culverts,
drew it
so-
out for us a little bit.
the only thing I need to do
Line.
is you to show me how many 4 feet you want to do. And then, I mean, it's not gonna change the design. On our end, that is.
All right.
How's the time?
I'll send you an email
Yeah,
this week,
yeah.
Darren.
I'll be talking to you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See you at the next meeting, buddy.
We have other guests here, so unless anyone has any objection, I prefer we hop around. So if our guests want to leave, they can.
Does that go for all of us?
No.
Oh.
You're supposed to stick around.
They don't want to hear all of the stuff going on in Shannon?
So we can hop down to number 5 first. Well, how about we do number 6, because that'll be quick.
There's nobody here for that.
Bob is here.
Oh, hi, Bob,
If
sorry.
you don't know Bob, he's the county administrator of Carroll County, so. But number 5 is gonna be a much longer discussion than number 6, because we're just going to be looking at these numbers. So number 6 is for solar bids for the wastewater plant. We were informed that we received the grant, but official announcement and all the, I guess, details I'd be expecting have not been given to us yet. I've been trying to stay ahead of the curve here by getting bids, but in the event things change dramatically and I have to rebid it, I'm asking us not to accept any bids tonight, and we'll keep it open until the next meeting. So, but we're gonna go ahead and open them, and we'll note the prices and things of that nature now.
What is the first one? The opening?
This is from Eagle Point Solar. All right. Find the
Did we
price.
make what he made? Oh, never mind.
Yep, if you don't mind opening this next one and finding the price.
Sure.
I'm looking at this
It's the big number on the last page.
one. All right, fixed price proposal from Eagle Point Solar is $510,990. See if that's that again. I'll have to check the specifics before the next meeting, but I just want to get prices.
That is, I
I'm
think that one.
I'm assuming, from State Line Solar, $557,253. And let me just make sure. That's for incentives price. I want to make sure this is not discussing incentives.
Brian, can you throw me a pen, or someone throw me a pen, please? Thank you. Feel naked without a pen.
So there are copies for each board member, is that what,
You
okay,
want me to pass them around or?
sure, each board member can have one. And then this is Sun Peak.
I don't know if he wants one. He here to have one. Well, I'll read one.
There's your Mr. Gold.
Number 4, don't get one tonight.
Sun Peak's total cost, $520,500. Is what I see.
Just on those.
Sure, thank you. Those are the three numbers I'm seeing at this time. Again, once we get full directive from the state, when they formally announce Shannon's received the grant this month, as long as nothing needs to be changed, these will be the bids. If the IEPA does know, I put it out for bid early, and they had no problem with that, at least didn't say they had a problem. So
What's our estimated portion of this again?
25% is what we are required to match. So,
So roughly $105,000.
no, 160, no, 128,000, sorry, 128,000. Get that 500,000
Don't mind me, I can't add.
total. So at the 510, which was the lowest, if this bid holds after we get all details, would be 127.5 would be the village's match. At this time, I'm just asking that we hold all bids over until next month. In the event that I have to rebid, we can decline all these bids next month and I'll put it out for bid again. Any questions about any of this?
Do they want their 100,000?
Well, we pay everything up front, month to month, and we get reimbursed. So we're not gonna give the state our 127,500. They'll just be paying us back 75% of what we pay month to month.
State pays so quickly.
All right.
That was being sarcastic in case anybody didn't catch that.
Thanks for coming out,
No
guys.
problem.
All right, we'll go to number 5 then. I sent you all an email after the board meeting about my thoughts about what happened at the county board meeting. I know that the newspaper posted the minutes, which accurately reflect what happened, though I don't think it really captured what truly happened, which in my mind, and Bob can, I guess, give the county's perspective here if you'd like to share, but in my mind, there were 7 board members there that day. Certainly, at least the most outspoken wanted to table it, so they had more time to read the contract. For most of the board, it was the first time they had seen the contract in full. They got it about 48 hours before the board meeting, so the majority of the board members asked to table it for some number of weeks, but 2 of them felt they were ready to go today without further review, or on that day. So 2 of them moved. The 2 who moved were the only ones who voted yes on that day. I did not take that as the board was turning it down. It was merely that they wanted more time, but 2 board members did not need more time. So, Bob, what are your thoughts?
And certainly I would echo the same sentiment that the folks that really took a deep dive into the contractual arrangement, they felt that they needed more time to really digest the considerations. And certainly the county and the board would like for, at the end of the day, have an equitable solution. We believe we can make this work, but there's some financial consideration that's going to have to be negotiated to make it a win-win for both parties, so.
So what do you mean by, I guess we can make this a very clear cut. So just to let the board know, we saw a draft contract, or I showed a draft contract at some point in the last few months, but this was what was ultimately submitted to the county board at some point. So it was $100,000 the first 2 years, which I would guess, this contract says it's a 4-year contract, but really it's a 2-year contract where no one can get out of it. And then it renews year to year, but people can get, either the board or the county or the village can leave it without cause after the 2-year mark. But the first 2 years it's really locked in. So in my mind, I saw that as the trial run. So I put that as the $100,000 per year for the first 2 years, and then it gets raised by $3,500 every year. I had brought this up at a board meeting at some point, saying that the deputies go up 3.5% per year with all the associated costs. So that $3,500 represents 3.5% on the initial contract cost. I did tell the county board that I didn't think the numbers were going to move at the end of that meeting. And I know the board members that had questions about it were talking about other contract terms, but
The financial consideration was one of them. If you take a look at whatever the starting point here, we'll use 100,000 as the example. Year 2, there's no increase, yet cost of living adjustments and what have you with a deputy does incur increases. So that's one of the things that was being pushed back by the board, is that, and it should be more of a compounding effect. So if we all earn $100,000 in year 2, we get a 3.5%, it's 103.5, then it's 103.5 times 3.5%. So those are the types of things that need to be ironed out.
Your starting deputies make $53,000 a year.
But there are incremental costs related to it.
You guys are the lowest paying county in the area, just so you know.
Well, I understand that, but there are load costs. We just went through an exercise last year because we were down 2 deputies. So we know exactly what the cost is to bring on a new deputy. And it's not $100,000, I can assure you that.
Then what is it?
At one point, it's with an all-in cost, and I know we have consideration here with vehicles. In all-in cost, it's $170,000 with vehicles and everything else.
So the school's taking advantage of, all 3 school districts will be taking advantage of you then also?
Well, you have to look at it from a standpoint that a deputy on the road is different than an SRO, and I think there's some misconceptions of how that works. I'm saying we put in 2 deputies. One, we had equipment similar to what we're talking about with Shannon, and that was over $100,000. I believe, if my memory serves me right, it was over $107,000 that we had to incur into the budget. The second one was about $170,000 because we didn't have all the assets, the capitalized assets to go along with it. I appreciate the unit cost of what Shannon pays or paid. What you have to understand is that our costs are different with IMRF retirement, medical benefits. Our medical benefits went up 8%.
Everybody's did,
Of course it
just
did.
so you know.
Oh, I came from the insurance industry. I understand exactly how the insurance world works. I believe we can make it work. So our board has asked us to take a look, both parties to take a look at what would be palatable, that we could make it work where it's a win-win for both entities. Because one of the concerns that the board has, and I'll share that, and I don't know if was even mentioned at the board meeting, is that this may be a precedent-setting contract.
I expect it will be.
I'm just saying,
Other
I don't-
entities.
I guarantee it will be.
Well, and if that's the case, our board wants to make sure that there are some assurances that we do this right from the get-go, so that when another municipality asks Carroll County to assume some law enforcement services, that we're not reinventing the wheel.
So you're of the opinion that we should pay for a new squad car year 1? Because I mean, $170,000
I did,
deputy would be, assuming you would buy, every year you would be buying him a car and all new equipment.
no.
Correct.
My recommendation, and certainly what the board is asking for, is for the principals to sit down and really go through these types of scenarios and come up with what is an equitable price day 1 through day 4, or year 4, rather, to come up with the right pricing.
You
'Cause
guys
basically-
decided that already.
What's that?
You guys decided that already. You have literally 3 SROs. And I'm sorry, whether you believe it or not, an SRO is a full-fledged sheriff deputy, just like the next guy. And 3 months a year, he runs as a sheriff deputy.
So Bob, I'm just gonna draw your attention over here. The sheriff's numbers puts the our first year deputy cost to the county at $95,000. And he's actually assuming a lateral deputy, not a new deputy, because the salary's at 63, not 53. So what in the sheriff's numbers don't you agree with here? I guess maybe we can start there.
Again, SRO versus a deputy are two different items.
What do you
Because
see-
there's
what do you see
liability
different?
insurance, there's vehicles, there's fuel costs, there's all kinds of components that we don't pay for an SRO that ends up getting paid for a deputy
And
position.
if I said SRO, I misspoke. This is the sheriff's numbers on what he thinks a deputy would cost year one, a new deputy. So he agrees with your number on the top end that a brand new deputy for the county costs, he says $195,000.
Yeah,
But
and that could be indexed and how he's come up with the determination, but it was 170 for a brand new
so
deputy.
he agrees with that number. He values the Shannon police squad car at, 60 to 70,000. We bought it brand new for 70,000. It has less than 10,000 miles. So, that's a huge cost saving. But then also all the other equipment, non-squad cars, I think he placed in the realm of almost $100,000 as well. The biggest problem, and I know I've spoken to you about this, and I've told you this board's feeling with that $100,000 is more than fair. But the problem when I look at the numbers, and I think it's very clear that I have been the biggest proponent of this contract on this board for 10 months now. It makes no financial sense above $113,000 for Shannon to enter into this contract year one, because at $150,000, which is what we paid the last the full year, fiscal year, when we had a full-time police chief, working part-time officers, you look at $150,000 minus the squad car, minus the body worn camera. When you look at the contract, when you look at how many hours of service we get versus how much we pay, anything over 113, we just start to pay more and more and more to the county than we would if we had our own department per contract hour. At $100,000 versus the 150, it's right about the same.
Sure.
So then when you take in the fact that we're also going to be accounting for that 3.5% increase every year, at some point, that's not going to make sense either. The big thing is we're thinking about one single deputy year after year after year. The sheriff's department's going to lose deputies that are more seasoned and hire new deputies, bringing their costs down. Shannon's not assigned any single deputy. So that also has to be realized as well. It's not like we're getting a Shannon deputy. We're hiring a new deputy. We're basing it off that new deputy's salary, but that new deputy at some point will no longer be new, and there'll be newer deputies here in Shannon.
The only request that I, as a county administrator, have asked is that the two parties get together. In my opinion, it's somewhere six figures to, at the max of year one would be 125. So it wouldn't be the 150, 175. But it's above 100. I apologize that you feel that way, but those are the numbers that.
You do know Shannon's in Carroll County, we're all
Of
taxpayers, right?
course.
I mean, you guys are doing it free today. We're offering you $100,000 and you're looking at us like we're the outsiders.
That's- No, I believe, I'm very confident we can get a material deal done here. It's just that there are some aspects of the contractual agreement that we need to, as both parties need to negotiate on. And I think I'm very confident we can get it done. The delta isn't that big. It's just, but even though like indexing per year too, I think you can appreciate that,
Sure.
in
And that,
normal business. That's what we're asking for, is to go through all these parameters and then come up with a solution that would fit both parties. That's all we're asking for.
So, and let me,
so
let me.
to be quite
do the math.
honest,
In
to be
10
quite
years,
honest,
We'll be money ahead to have our own cop.
well, that's the point we have to talk about. At some point, I mean, the thing is, we spent $190,000 the last full fiscal year, not what we expected to pay. The last time with $190,000, and then we appropriated $180,000. So these are the costs that I did many months ago. How much it actually cost the village per coverage hour is what I call it. Someone on the road for 1 hour. This is assuming a functioning part-time roster, and this is also assuming the orange graph is when you subtract the chief's hours that he's spending on administrative duties that are not there for the county. So when you look at these numbers, the sheriff's contract at $100,000 a year equals what you would expect to pay. It's somewhere in the middle of 150,000 when you account for the fact that the chief is going to be doing administrative duties. It's equal to the $180,000 we appropriated. It's actually almost exactly equal per coverage hour. Now, there's a lot of benefits for the county that I've talked about a lot. They're going to be rotating. It's not going to be on the fixed schedule. Our last chief worked 11 to 7 pretty much every day. Didn't like to work weekends. That's not there with the sheriff's contract. But at some point, the numbers just don't make sense. Even as someone who is a big proponent of this contract, at a certain number, it just doesn't make sense anymore. And I agree with Kyle, though he puts it bluntly.
That's my job.
The alternative for the village, if we don't go with the police chief, which we do have a candidate for, but if we don't go with the police chief, is just to make the county do it anyway. I mean, we understand that that's not going to be
It's not what you want, but it's what's
it's not
required by
it's not what we
law.
want. It's not going to be coverage hours. It's going to be responding to emergencies and just being over here organically. We've done it now for 10 months without much issue. I mean, that's the biggest problem. I don't want to speak for the sheriff. He's not here. And we do have a meeting that I think is planned for next week. At least he told me that's going to happen. I know the sheriff would like to see this as opposed to the alternative.
Oh, couldn't agree with you more. I've had conversations with him, and he would like to see this materialize, and so would we. Our board has asked us to have subsequent conversations to ensure that all the things that they had some concerns with were addressed appropriately.
But looking at, aside from cost, though, I think that's going to be the make or break here. What other contract terms did they tell you they had issue with, if any? Or is it just the price?
No, there's some, but I shared that with the sheriff, and I think none of them I would consider non-starters.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way.
and I'm sure that's the case. So it all
Let's hear them. I mean,
No, what I heard is they had some questions about the equipment, the way that I had written the contract, because originally, again, it's been a while since we've discussed the contract line by line for this board, or at least in broad strokes. Originally, the idea was we were going to lease our equipment for free to the sheriff. If this contract ever ended, we get it back, except for the new squad car, which they were just going to take from us, but then give us a credit toward our contract price. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want that special, the number, they're looking at the number. So a contract or a credit toward that squad car, bring them less than 100,000 didn't make sense. So I just wrote essentially that the squad car will be treated like the other equipment, other than if it's, wrecked, if it's an accident, it's replaced, that new vehicle essentially takes the place of the original squad car. So if the county decides that the contract doesn't work 2 years in, but our squad car was totaled, we're not left with nothing. We get that squad car that was replaced instead. So essentially, we still get that squad car back. I know there were some questions about that and just the other equipment as well. But again, they didn't have a lot of opportunity to view the contract in full. I think the equipment makes a lot of sense as it's written. The squad car portion is the longest portion of this contract now by far. So, none of them are attorneys, is what I guess I'll say. And, it's a page and a half on the squad vehicle itself. I did talk to the state's attorney briefly. He's seen this contract. He thought it was more than workable. He had one question about it, and we talked about it. And I think, again, I don't think there's any
the one or the
non-starter.
old one?
What was that?
The new one or the old one?
Well, both of them saw it, but the new one is who I spoke with recently. So, really, I don't think there's any contract terms that are going to prevent this contract from going other than the price. I think the issue is here, the year two not being raised, to me, that doesn't really matter to me. It's that $100,000 starting point that's really going to be, the trustees can speak on it as well. The big thing is this board has been discussing this contract for 10 months now, while the county board's been talking about it for
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, and that's.
So what was the breakdown that maybe the sheriff wasn't talking to the board members a little more before now? Like I'm ready to bang my head on the wall.
Mhm.
You know, me and the sheriff, we met in October for the first time, I think.
It's
That's,
July.
well, at some point then, we looked like we had some police chief candidates. I informed him, I thought this board
Right.
was going to hire someone. We did, in fact, try to hire someone, and that didn't pan out. So then we started again in earnest. And I have spoken with Bob, one time with Julie as well, who was there, I think, William.
And William.
And I did another meeting, I think, with the sheriff and William. So I've had meetings with other people. I've spoken to other board members briefly. In fact, the two that voted yes are the ones that I spoke to the least, I think. So all board members were apprised that this was upcoming, but they just didn't have the details, is what I'd
Well,
say.
the other thing I think, just to give you additional background, and yes, it's been a long tenured process, but initially, some of our county board members weren't sure if this is the right thing to do for Carroll County. And quite frankly, that's their governance, that's their concerns, and they asked us, whether Ryan, the sheriff, and I, and others, to get to a point where they felt comfortable with a contractual agreement that potentially be a long-term arrangement. So, not that I'm speaking out of turn, but I think there was some concern early on whether or not we even wanted to delve into that approach. And that's why it's taken as long as it has. It isn't because we're.
No, I know Ryan's been, I don't know, I guess I was, because I do know a couple of board members. I was just kind of surprised that it didn't, I guess some of them weren't even aware that these conversations have been going on.
Well, no, they were, I mean, Ryan has mentioned, meaning Sheriff Ryan,
Correct.
has mentioned it on several occasions, what was
Okay, I
transpiring.
wasn't the impression.
I think once the contract that was that went into the, in
It's
their
presented,
hands,
yeah.
was presented, I think they wanted some pause because they wanted to make sure that everybody's everyone's comfortable with the arrangement.
On the other side of the coin, everyone I talk to wants their own chief of police here in town.
Make the
And we
motion.
do have a real good candidate right now.
Make the motion.
I'll make a motion, we vote in Mr. Despain as chief of police.
Well,
You can be mad at me all you want, I second.
well, I would caution that one, there hasn't been a formal,
on the agenda.
well, it kind of is, but I would just caution that one, I have not spoken with that individual who has not submitted an application for that officially. So, I mean, the motion can be made, I just say to hire a police chief at 77.5, but we should be aware that that may not pan out, but.
And if it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass.
The issue.
I don't see how in 5 or 10 years, we're gonna be able to afford the county anyway.
I think that's the biggest issue with the county, at a certain point, just the 3.5% just can't go on indefinitely, because we'll be at $200,000 in 15 years,
That could be Chadwick or Thompson's problem.
but what I'll say, before the trustees vote, there's no rush, because one, we haven't confirmed whether that officer wants the position anymore or will take it. I haven't spoken with him since the last meeting. I have a meeting with the sheriff next week. So you can say yes tonight, understand that it may not pan out, or you can say no and save it for a special meeting. And we can just put it back to the county that the number is not going to change. And if they say no again, then we know our options. But the motion's been made, so roll call, please.
And I make a motion, we put out a job opening for a chief of police for $77,000 a year.
77.5.
Yep, 77.5.
We'll do the first one first, which is
Okay.
to hire a chief of police at 77.5.
Okay. Allen?
No.
Miller?
Yep.
Shevitz?
No,
Minders?
No,
Reuter?
Yes.
That'll fail. The hiring of a specific police chief at 77.5. Second motion is to relist job applications. So just a reminder, in April at this point, we stopped looking to go all in on the county contract, which is when it did start in earnest with more detail with the county. So we can certainly pursue both routes. So we have a motion to relist the job application for chief of police at 77.5. Roll call, please.
Do I have a second?
Oh, yeah, that wasn't a first. Is there a second to that?
If we're gonna go with the county, there's no need to. I mean,
So there's no second?
if we aren't gonna go with the county, I get it, but if we are,
All right, without a second,
I'll second it.
seconded to do a new job application or new job recruitment post.
Said Butch.
Yeah, Butch second.
New job application for what now?
Police, chief of police.
Okay,
Is that what you said?
yeah.
Roll call?
Allen? No. Miller?
Yep.
Shevitz?
No.
Minders?
No,
Reuter?
yes.
All right, that'll fail tonight. I think we should just make our intentions known to the county.
I think we just did.
Well, we,
It's not a real mystery where we're sitting.
well, I gave a lot of,
I think we need to stop putting time on the table over and over again. We need to meet with county, figure out numbers and either go for it or don't.
Right.
well,
They've met
That's-
for 10 months.
Well, the sheriff and I
That
have,
was
with
my
some
point.
inklings from, the sheriff has discussed with Bob and Julie at certain points. So it's mostly funneled through the sheriff. I haven't met with Bob before. I mean, this is, I guess, is another meeting, so this would be number 3 maybe, or 2. I don't know what it may be. The issue that every other contract term will not be an issue. It's gonna be
Right.
cost. This board has said again and again to me, which I think is a right stance, is the $100,000 is where it's gonna start. Does anyone care about the $3,500 on year 2, starting right away on the
It
increase?
just shortens up the time where it's financially, where it's responsible to do it.
Well, I should know that this contract that I had written, again, it's really a contract for 2 years, but it contemplates a full 4. But it also will renew indefinitely, but it doesn't keep increasing after that 5th renewal, or in this case, 4th renewal. So the contract, if we up the second year to capture that 3,500,
2 years, essentially.
we are locked in for only the first 2 years. The contract will last indefinitely without an update if no board moves to get rid of it, but it stops that increase on year 5. So with a new contract, it would end at 114. Not to say that's what it's going to end up at, because there are going to be more considerations at that point, but it contemplates through year 5. So it's
Do you
really
see
only
your board passing that?
If
Your opinion.
If our request, if we can get to some type of a resolution to where we meet and really talk, as opposed to just saying the first 2 years, there's nothing, I don't think it would pass. If there's some consideration for year 2 to increase it, I think there's a much likelier probability that it would.
But that's agreeing to no money. It's not going to gain in value or gain in price
well,
after year 5.
no,
You
that's
think
just
the board
how
will agree to that?
that's just how this current contract is written, but this contract also requires us to meet 8 months before it ends on year 4 to discuss if there wants to be alternatives. That doesn't mean there will be or there won't be, because this will renew with an action, but it contemplates through year 5 and beyond. So this is what the contract would look like. Let's make that clear with those alterations. And I just want this board, I can go talk to Bob and the sheriff as much as I want, but this board is the one that has to approve whatever price increase we do. So this just captures that 3,500 right away. It caps out at the 114 until a new contract is renewed on year 4.
And this gives us, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said this gives us no value out of the truck, other than we get back.
Other than we get back the truck. We get back all the equipment if this contract were to end, including the truck.
In its depreciated state.
And it's depreciated state, yes.
No, Ryan, I would say that the compounding effect of between year 2 and year 3, and then year 3 and year 4 needs to be addressed as well.
So 3.5% instead of,
Above, so it's 3.5% of 103,500 would be then year 3, and then.
I mean, that, we're talking about a few $100s, but I understand. Yeah,
The question was asked of me whether the board would be willing to, I know those are the types of considerations
Yeah.
that they would be looking at. So-
yeah. I mean, in reality, you're talking about a few $100s.
Exactly.
If the board just likes that 3.5%, I mean, that's not make or break for me. I mean, we're literally talking hundreds of dollars. I think the biggest thing, and I said this at the county board meeting, this will be a huge change for our region. The county expects other municipalities to follow suit, which I think is definitely the case. And for the village of Shannon to enter into this contract, it will be costly to get out of it. I mean, that's the truth of it, because we won't have a police department.
Sure.
We're going to wipe our hands clean of it. Yeah, we'll get some insurance costs down on our end, which will help. But if the county ever says to the whole Carroll County that we're done with this, we're not going to do it anymore, it would be a big cost for the village to restart the department.
Actually, it's a monumental change by going into this contract for both parties.
I agree completely. And I don't fault the board members at all for wanting time to think about it. But I am going in with the idea that this will last indefinitely for Shannon. And I want the county to go in with that same approach. And when we're squabbling over a few $100s, we need to enter this as a win-win, but understanding a win doesn't have to be huge for either party. If it's good for both parties, that's good enough.
Because really the municipalities that are gonna be looking at doing something like this, we don't have money to be having our own departments, that's why it's like 100,000 is a lot for us,
This, our non-utility budget, correct me if I'm wrong, we appropriate over 2 million, but we actually spend around 1.3 a year, but half of that is utilities. So you're looking at a total budget of 650,000-ish. So you're talking 1/6 to 1/7 of our budget here in that realm for this contract. So, I mean, the truth of the matter is there's not much wiggle room on the village's side. And the truth is, at a certain point, it cannot raise per year indefinitely. And I think you have, and I'll talk about this at the next county board meeting whenever this is brought up. But again, we're basing this off a single new deputy, but new deputies will come down, bringing the, average cost of a deputy. At a certain point, it'll just have to stop, or the village won't be able to do it anymore. But, all right. Does anyone else? Again, I can talk to the sheriff and Bob all day, but if the board would pass this contract, we'll present it this way, or 3.5%, change it to instead of 3,500. Does anyone have thoughts onto those changes? So we changed this to 3.5%.
We had a contract, we gave it to them, they voted it down, let them come up with one.
Well, again, I think the narrative that they turned it down is unfortunate because, technically speaking, that's what happened, but that's not really what happened in my mind.
But it is, they didn't approve it.
That's
like getting an answer from one parent and going to another.
No, the majority of the board wanted to table it, but they didn't make a motion to table before 2 board members voted to pass it.
It's like $3,600.
Yeah.
$3,622.
$122.
And we're well above 90% completion. We don't want to start.
You just did 30.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Thank you.
We don't care if you copy and paste it.
Versus the contract that you already drawn up, I think it's minimal if we did the 3.5%.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be,
But
A
it
few
can't,
dollars.
it can't just keep going.
It
Right,
does-
but
does-
it doesn't mean
it
that
does-
it will.
then there's no point in it.
After
it does
4
not
years.
keep going.
I
That's the
mean,
thing.
that's,
Well, but don't let them be under the understanding that it just keeps going.
well, they aren't under the understanding of that. They know that.
He's
it-
here asking for
it's
money
a
now, you don't think they want it to
conversation
keep going?
between
It's a conversation in
year
4
4
years.
and year 5, which none of us might not be on this board at that point.
114,760.
And the this is not meant to be rude, this is not meant to be cruel. But we did just, we do want to hire a full-time secretary. She can help with some of the stuff that the chief would do.
Yeah, I don't think it's
That
that
was
much.
that was part of the whole, gonna do it full-time anyway.
She can do some of it, you're right. Though she'll be doing a lot of other things as well. So,
She's gonna have 3 more days in her current, or 3.5 more days in her current clerk.
all right, I guess what this comes down to, I know where Miles stands on his rankings of what he wants to see done. Again, this contract's gonna change because there's some other terms, so I'm not looking for a vote on the contract itself here, but I guess I'd ask for, I don't know, a resolution that we're fine with this payment schedule.
I'm fine with moving and updating to 3.5% per year, according to what we already have drawn up between 4th and 5th year, having a conversation around.
Okay, so, resolve to accept the new payment schedule for the proposed county contract. First by Alan. Is there a second?
You need to say that all, just
Yeah.
resolve what?
To accept the new contract rate within the proposed law enforcement services contract with the county.
Do you foresee your board agreeing to any of this without an annual increase?
There's an
We are doing
argument.
an annual.
For 4 years, I'm talking after that.
Well, it's a 4-year agreement. It's hard for me to say what they're gonna
Well,
think.
here's the deal though, it doesn't financially pan out for us. I mean, we're essentially giving you $100,000 more than you're taxing us for already. And after so long, it's no longer beneficial for us. Anyway, y'all know how I feel, go ahead.
What? We do?
You explain again.
I agree. I mean, I think I'll make that perfectly clear to the county board if this passes, and I'll say even if it's, I'm just gonna assume Miles is a yes to this, so. If it ends in a 2-3, really in my mind will be a tie with me being the tie-breaking vote there. But I'll make this clear to the county. I mean, even if it's not me sitting here or anyone here sitting here, no board in their right mind would accept this contract going on indefinitely at 3.5%. There has to be some hard cap
Yes.
number in the future
I agree with that.
because, and you know, there's understanding that if we had our own police department, there would also be increases every year. I don't know if it would be 3.5%. I think our annual salary increase is around 2 to 3 on most years. It's been a little bit more the last few years by quite a margin, but that's 2 to 3, but that's not including all the other costs. So I guess factor that in as well.
I have a question. You said your salaries go up 3.5% a year, correct?
They were negotiated as part of the collective bargaining agreement, yes.
So why are we adding the 3.5% to the whole 100,000, not the salary?
Here's the sheriff. He sees overall costs going, it starts off slower, so up 1,000, then up 4.
But it's
And then
just
up
not,
4.
it's just not salary adjustments. You're talking about pension costs, because IMRF, you're talking about medical costs. We were very fortunate, we had capped at 8%. For this current year, I'm not sure that we'll be at 8%, but we're taking the risk that we'll try to manage those costs as much as we can. That's why the overall is 3.5%. That aligns with the collective bargaining agreement, but some of those other residual costs are not gonna only be 3.5%, they're gonna be higher.
So, and the sheriff sees the contract. Again, the sheriff doesn't have your background. He's not the county administrator. These are just his numbers. He sees the original number at 95,000. He sees year 4 at 104. So at that rate, it's gone up 9,000. Our contract price has gone up 14, which again, actually this is through year 4. So at 110. So at his price, it maintains that same difference. In year 1, he sees the $100,000 as $5,000 more than his cost. In year 4, he sees it as $6,000 more. So he sees it as maintaining that 3.5% across the board. Again, the sheriff, not the county administrator, doesn't have a background, I assume, in finances, but those are his numbers.
I do have the benefit of being a former finance person.
Yeah.
so.
But his numbers align with these numbers, which is how we got to them originally. So there was a first by Alan to resolve to accept this rate schedule. Is there a second?
I'll second
Allen,
Yes.
Miller,
No,
Shevitz,
it. Yes.
Minders,
Yes,
Reuter.
No,
Motion passes.
So this is what we'll take to the county board. If they turn it down, I think,
Kind of sounds like they're the ones that need to have the meeting.
I think that'll be the answer. I mean, we'll still need to discuss all the other terms, but
Yeah, I would request that that take place.
yeah, well, I can meet with that. I don't think any other term will be an issue whatsoever. But that's gonna be our price. So we'll fix the contract up next week when we meet. If the sheriff hasn't told you we're meeting next week, but.
Yeah.
And then we'll see if the county board accepts this. If not, I think this will probably be Shannon's highest number, is what I'd imagine, so.
Yeah.
So. All right, any other discussion on law enforcement tonight? Any other questions about the contract, that any changes I've made? I'll send the full contract out to the board once I've met with the county. All right, glad we didn't let the solar people sit here this whole time. All right. Go to appropriations. These are just all the numbers we previously discussed. I had Kip draw up, the only change I requested was for law enforcement services, just because I don't know if the contract will eventually pass or not. It does contemplate up to a full police department, which is what appropriations is. It contemplates the maximum amount you plan to spend. So that number did go from 100 to 150 instead of just the sheriff's contract. In the event that's the route this board eventually takes. Again, just to clarify, the board did not vote to accept the contract tonight. It was an acceptance of the new payment schedule by resolution. We already discussed all these numbers 2 board meetings ago, but does anyone want to discuss any more? If not, I'd look for a motion to accept the appropriations for actually just pass ordinance number 455.
I'll make said motion.
All right, first by Butch to pass ordinance number 455. Is there a second? Second by Reuter.
Allen,
Yes.
Miller,
yep,
Shevitz,
Yes.
Minders,
Yes,
Reuter.
Yes.
All right, pass these around.
And we do need them all signed because they're gonna be filed several different places.
That's what we know.
I'll have you fill out absent as well.
I can do that.
Okay.
I can do that.
And you can-
Oh,
for
Miles.
Miles.
Mm-hmm.
All right, while those are going around, last thing on the agenda is the deputy clerk position. Denise is scheduled to end here in a few months. Nicole would like to start full-time. I'll give this a second.
Trying to share the joy.
I guess which way are we going?
Oh, I don't know. These 3 will all be signed.
We're gonna be in that.
I know.
All right, deputy clerk position. Denise is retiring in a few months. I think it makes sense for Nicole to start full-time now, get all the training she possibly can, and be ready to take on the reins here in a few months. We discussed the starting salary, I believe, of $50,000 for Nicole. Which is essentially what her hourly rate would be if she worked 40 hours a week. Is there a motion to hire the deputy clerk at full-time at $50,000 per year?
Do we have to amend the health insurance thing, or is that not an actual?
That's on the agenda. They're going to look into it.
I mean, do we know if it's an actual rule somewhere, or it's just the law of the hearsay?
It's the law of the hearsay as far as I'm concerned right now. But that's what Perry was told. That was, I think Nicole's understanding too, is that, your family can be covered. We just don't pay it. So if we want to change that, we'll bring it up at the next meeting. I think you have a few weeks after you become a new hire to enroll. So hopefully we can make that change before. If we need to call a special meeting, we'll do so. If this board wants to cover family members. Right now, the board or the village pays 95% of the premium for yourself. And I've been told nothing for the family, but, so we'll look into this issue. So we'll find that out. If we can do it at the next meeting, we'll do it then. Otherwise, I can call a special meeting if need be to see if this board would like to change that position, if that is in fact the position of the prior boards. Was there a motion on hiring Nicole full-time?
Make a motion.
First by Miller,
So,
second by Mashevitz. Roll call, please.
Allen? Yes. Miller?
Yep.
Shevitz?
yeah.
Minders?
Yes.
Reuter?
Are you sure you wanna do this? I was just asking. I'll vote yes if she says yes.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Nicole's first day is
You have at it.
in 8 days, right? The 15th. So it's good that you guys voted yes. Because you already put in her 2 weeks.
I know, it's close.
Yeah, it's coming to close. All right. Any closing comments from anyone? If not, I'd
I
entertain a
only
motion.
signed two.
There's the rest of them here.
They're coming around right here. Do any of these signatures, all the meetings still happening, or can they be done after?
No, that can be done after.
All right, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn then.
I so move.
Second.
Any opposed?
Can stay.
This motion is adjourned.
Joel has to sign.